Welcome to the game view. This is Sean with Total Packers. I have skipped ahead to the second half of this Week 17 game against the Vikings. The first half was so boring, I think they were playing football instead of football. So we're going to skip ahead here to the second half. This is the Vikings' first drive of the second half. It would be one of their actually their only drive for a touchdown in the game. The drive started out with a terrible Tim Estee punt of 29 yards. And then with one play after that, that put the Vikings in Green Bay Packer territory already. This is the big play of the drive. It is a simple end around to their backup receiver, Thalen, who also had a big return on a fake punt against us. Frankly, this is a play that against a professional defense should not work, really should not go anywhere. However, not only are the Packers especially vulnerable at the edges when they're in their nickel defense like they are here. We've seen this this year, seen it other years as well. This defense is especially vulnerable at its edges. But also, the fact that the Vikings have Adrian Peterson makes it a lot easier for them to run this play. You can see the Packers are basically in a zone defense here other than Rollins up top. This is basically with everybody keying up on Adrian Peterson. That is who they're looking at. It's first down here. They're expecting that he could very well get the ball. And so by everybody keying on him, it makes it easier for Thalen to get a quick jump to the outside as we roll this forward. Really, the only guys who are going to have a chance here is Mike Neal. However, they baited him to take an inside move. He takes the inside move, but even though he gets upfield quickly, again, probably more looking at Peterson, it's not quick enough to stop Thalen. And then Randall here is out up by himself at the edge, but the Vikings have a tight end to block him. So this is going to be a successful play at this point. Good hustle by Jake Ryan at least to get out here. Morgan Burnett has the chance to hold this play to about a 9-10 yard gain. Unfortunately, he blows the block and blows the tackle, and then this ends up being a 26-yard gain down to the Packer 11-yard line. The Vikings would score a couple plays later on just a 3-yard plunge up the middle by Peterson. That would make the score 13-3, and knowing the Packers offense, we already know that we're in pretty big trouble at this point. Okay, this is the next possession for the Vikings. The Packers, right after the Vikings scored, to stretch the lead to 13-3, the Packers went 3 and out and gave the ball right back to the Vikings. So it's a chance here for the Vikings to get even further ahead. They were beginning to move the ball here when this disaster of a play happened for them. Key of this play is going to be Mike Neal is going to come around on a stunt and get some pressure on Bridgewater. Bridgewater should have just taken the sack. Instead, he tries to throw a crazy left-handed pass, and Micah Hyde makes an awesome interception, about as improbable and good of a catch as you'll ever see a defender make. That's absolutely just a crazy play right there. In fact, that is such a crazy play that you see the immediate reaction by the other Packer defenders. They basically can't believe what they just saw. All right, after Hyde's interception gave the Packers the ball on Minnesota side of the field. Absolutely need to take advantage here and get some score to get a score to get closer in this game. This is 3rd and 12. The Packers actually had picked up the first down, and a great run by Eddie Lacy. A hard run got to the 30-yard line. Should have been first down at the 30-yard line. Instead, a crazy, really a ludicrous holding call on Corey Linsley. It's thrown in the middle of the field, which you rarely see. That backed the Packers up and gave them 3rd and 12 on this play. This is a play that's actually really going to be the difference in the game. It's a complete disaster for the Packers. And this is actually probably one of Aaron Rodgers' best plays of the entire game, even though it's a disaster. On the play, obviously, Everson Griffin, who is a very good pass rusher, is the best pass rusher the Vikings had. The Packers, in their eternal wisdom, thought that Josh Sitton should be moved outside and block against him. It didn't work very well. Worked only slightly better than the Packers' other decisions to tackles the block with in last week's game. Now in this game, kind of typical luck for the Packers. Everson Griffin here wasn't even trying. He wasn't even going for the ball here on Rodgers. He actually was just trying to grab Rodgers and grab the back of his jersey. He kind of accidentally hit the ball, hit Rodgers' arm as he was pulling his arm back. And that is going to end up being a fumble and a return for a touchdown. You see Rodgers instantly responded to the fumble and tried to go out there and make a tackle. Him and Starks really are the only guys who reacted to the play. Here you can see it from the backside, gives us even a better view here. Rodgers essentially does everything right on this play. He draws back. He's facing a 5-man blitz, and yet he stays in the pocket this time. He steps up nicely. He's about to deliver a ball over the middle to Randall Cobb, who actually is open for the first down here. That would have been a first down for the Packers. Instead, again, just kind of a good luck for the Vikings that Griffin happened to grab Rodgers just as he pulled back with the ball, knocked the ball loose. And you can, as Munnerlyn comes and picks this up, you can see Rodgers and Starks make the effort here to try to get Munnerlyn down, but to no avail. And that is a 20-3 lead for the Vikings, and the game certainly looked over at this point. After the fumble was returned for a touchdown and gave the Vikings a 20-3 lead, the Packers absolutely down. They have to go down the field and get a score. They actually would respond here with a 80-yard touchdown drive to give themselves some hope in the game. This is a key play in the drive. This play here is something I've been asking for and talking about pretty much all year. Certainly in the Bronco game, I spent some time talking about it. Here you see the Vikings playing the same defense that the Packers have been looking at steadily ever since the Rams played it in Week 5. That really was the turning point of the season as far as defenses go, when defenses all started playing this defense against the Packers. And something that I ranted about in the Broncos game is that every time you see the defense come up to the line on the Packer receivers like this, they really are daring the Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball downfield and to burn them. And until Rodgers does it, the defenses are going to continue to line up in this formation, and that is why we continue to see this all year. Now this finally, for the first time this year, Rodgers does go ahead and take a shot and throws a good pass down the sideline to a streaking James Jones. Again, the safety's right in the middle field. He's got no chance to cover either sideline the Packers can go to. It's one-on-one. As you see here, James Jones is not open at the point that Rodgers releases the ball. However, it does not matter. All Rodgers needs to do is throw this ball in between James Jones' outside shoulder and the sideline, and this is going to be a fairly unstoppable play. The defense cannot stop that. As long as that ball is thrown out to the proper spot, there's nothing the defense can do to stop it. That is an easy 32-yard play there for the Packers that would jumpstart this drive that would lead to a touchdown. And that is a play that Aaron Rodgers has to hit if he wants to see defenses get out of that type of defense. Okay, this is the touchdown for the Packers to make it 20-10. On this play, the Vikings just don't get any kind of pass rush. They were actually expecting either a run or a short pass. They were clearly sitting in a zone here, actually a 2-deep. And things just start to break down because Rodgers simply has too much time to throw the ball. A good play by Richard Rodgers to keep running the out here, and he's going to eventually find himself wide open. Good job by Aaron Rodgers to stay in the pocket this time, be patient, and then eventually find Richard Rodgers once he breaks open. And this is going to be a touchdown here for the Packers. Richard Rodgers could have just stayed on his feet there and got in the end zone, but whatever, it worked, and that's a touchdown. All right, this is a big play here. This is 3rd and goal. The Packer defense got another stop of the Vikings. This is the Packers' next possession. There's 6.5 minutes left to go in the game. Packers have to get a score here. If they get a touchdown, they're going to pull within 20-17 with 6 minutes left to go in the game. This is 3rd down. The Packers actually only need 3 yards for first down on this play. And they're going to fail here and end up having to kick a field goal. You can see the Vikings are just sitting in their normal zone, their 2-deep zone. And Rodgers, a big key to the play here is going to be, once again, Josh Sitton is going to lose track of Everson Griffin. Everson Griffin is just going to end up running around him. He's going to end up chasing Rodgers and eventually getting a sack. Really, Rodgers only has 2 chances on this play. Most of the Packers are covered. I think Rodgers was initially hoping for Richard Rodgers right down the middle. He could have possibly, the linebacker, Kendricks, does have his back turned to Rodgers. Therefore, he could have tried this pass, throw this in here, and see if Richard Rodgers could make a catch on it. But it is pretty well covered, so understandable. He wasn't willing to pull the trigger here. Another chance that Rodgers had was actually, and we've seen this a couple times, Randall Cobb running out from the slot. Maybe the Packers should stop running this route because Aaron Rodgers does not seem to want to throw it, regardless of whether Cobb is open or not. Cobb does get slightly open on this play and probably could have had a first down here. If Aaron would have thrown this out here, you can see Cobb just making the cut right here. And that certainly would have had a chance, would have had to be a good throw, but it could have been a first down. Aaron's other chance here is John Kuhn. This is something that the Vikings did a lot in this game. Is their linebackers like to aggressively help out in pass defense, and with that being the case, a lot of times you can throw to the running backs underneath them and get some good yardage. This is a chance here that if Aaron would have immediately threw this ball out here, this is probably going to be first down for the Packers. Instead, either he doesn't have a good look at Kuhn or he's just trying to give himself a better angle, so he decides to run out of the pocket first. And unfortunately, that ends up being a mistake as Griffin dives at him and gets a piece of him and tackles him before he can do anything, and that's going to lead to a field goal for the Packers. All right, after the Packers kicked a field goal to make it 20-13, Cordarrelle Patterson had a big return. Looked like he might be kind of putting it away for the Vikings. However, he got stripped by Mason Crosby, fumbled the ball. Micah Hyde, who was just Johnny on the spot in this game, made a bunch of big plays. He recovered the fumble, and the Packers were right back on the field with their offense. They managed to drive down the field again, mostly with big passes. The Vikings were playing a lot more zone, and that gave guys some chances to get downfield and make some plays. But once again, and tell me where you've seen this before, the Packers get down to the 10-yard line and have first and goal from there, but they can't get in. 4 downs, 4 cracks at it, doesn't get them in. This is a second down play. It's second and goal right here. On this play is really unfortunate for the Packers. What's going to happen is the Vikings defensive end Everson Griffin, who had a big game this game, he's going to clearly jump off sides on this play. And Rodgers, unfortunately, sees him. As there goes Everson Griffin. He's clearly on the move, even though the ball has everybody's still motionless. The ball has not been snapped yet. That is clearly offsides. As you can see, Rodgers looked over there. He saw that he jumped. So Rodgers immediately, for no good reason, Rodgers immediately takes off running up the middle of the field. He didn't have to do that. Guys were open for him to throw to, but he thought he had an offsides call, so he just took off up middle of the field and ended up getting tackled. The refs did not throw a flag and ended up being a loss on the play for the Packers. Okay, this is essentially the last play of the game for the Packers, the last play that really matters. This is fourth and goal. The Packers, once again, they had driven down to the 10-yard line, but they were unable to get the ball in the end zone to tie the game. This has been a common theme throughout this season. The Packers struggling in the red zone, struggling to make the key play to either win the game or to tie a game, give themselves a chance. Here you see the Vikings are just going to rush 4, drop 7, sit in zone. Nothing different here than what the Packers have seen. What Rodgers is looking at here is that Richard Rodgers is just going to run straight up the field. Randall Cobb is going to slip behind him and then cut to the middle. If the defense jumps the Cobb, Rodgers is going to have a quick, short little alley to throw a quick stop to Richard Rodgers. If they stick with Rodgers, then he might have Cobb. So that is really the read that Aaron Rodgers is looking for here. We're going to see these two go up the field. They got themselves in a stack alignment, and then there goes Cobb as he cuts to the middle. Clearly the linebacker, has no surprise, is worried about Cobb, is doubling on Cobb. This is going to open up a little bit of a gap here for Richard Rodgers. It was just simply going to turn around at the goal line, and this would have been the pass. Now there are 3 defenders here. They're all fairly close by. This is about a 21-yard pass or so. So could have Aaron Rodgers have gunned this in hard enough and accurately enough to get this ball to Richard Rodgers before these defenders got in front and knocked it down? I don't know. I don't know if he could have or not have. But this was the design of the play. He could have taken the shot. He didn't try. He didn't think he could do it. And he might have been right. I don't know. He didn't try it. So at that point, once that broke down, he's essentially only got Aaron Rodgers essentially only got 2 other chances to make this play work. That's going to be the circle route here to Kuhn, or up top, he's going to have a great opportunity. When James Jones pushed off Xavier Rhodes, he cuts back towards the pylon. This is actually going to be wide open, and this is a fairly easy touchdown here if Rodgers just throws this out here. Unfortunately, what I think happened was first of all, I think Rodgers sees Kuhn and Jones, and I think there's a moment of hesitation as far as who he's going to throw to. And I think second of all, he sees this defender coming out of the corner of his eye, and he essentially just gives up on this play and just lofts this ball out there, hoping for a miracle, essentially. But essentially the ball actually ends up going right to Xavier Rhodes when Jones was actually open for the touchdown. But that goes right to Rhodes. It's an interception for the Vikings, and that's going to about seal the game away. The Packers would get the ball back and have a chance for another Hail Mary at the end, but that was easily knocked down, and the Vikings would win the game and win the division. Really, this is a fairly predictable loss for the Packers with the way they've been playing on offense. The passing offense just remains very poor for the Packers. They did pick it up once the Vikings went to a zone near the end of the game, but that's not something that especially gives me a lot of hope when they go back to playing a normal game against the Redskins. Redskins are not a great opponent, but they've been playing a little better as of late, and they are at home. So I think it's going to be a tough road to go one way or the other for the Packers. I'm not expecting a lot out of them.